These were the fireworks high above Kent State that are making national news, and Temple field hockey is right in the middle of it thanks to a shortened game versus Maine.
This was our opportunity to kind of get this story out there, and hopefully something positive comes from it where it never happens again.
A pair of new anchors on the desk to explain what happened at Kent State.
And a preview of Temple's football game. First ranked opponent of the season for them. OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now. Hello there and welcome into TV Studio 3 in Annenberg Hall. I'm JJ Michalski alongside Adam Cronali.
Two roommates take the desk and you better believe we're set for an action-packed semester.
Our first story comes from news that broke this past weekend and has gained national attention throughout the week. Temple field hockey traveled to Kent State this past weekend for a pair of games, first against the whole school on Friday, but it's the second game on Saturday against Maine that's getting all of the attention. Temple and those Maine Black Bears, who were ranked 24th in the country, were scoreless at the end of regulation, and through one overtime at 10:30 a.m. when Kent State officials forced players off the field, even though the game wasn't over. The stoppage was thanks to a scheduled fireworks display near the field hockey field that was set for 12 p.m. The fireworks display was the school's way of welcoming in the football season at the expense of the field hockey game. This decision set into motion days' worth of confusion and disappointment from players and coaches, days' worth of anger from Temple administrators, and an apology from Kent State officials. First, the anger, this statement from Temple Athletic Director Pat Kraft. Kraft says in his statement, "The circumstances that prevented the completion of our field hockey contest against Maine on Saturday are simply unacceptable, and our student athletes deserve better." Kraft also emphasized the importance of fairness and equality across male and female sports, especially at the collegiate level.
And now for the confusion, disappointment, and maybe even some anger too from the players and coaches who've been thrown into this national discussion about gender equality at the collegiate level. Temple was going toe-to-toe with the nationally ranked team only to have their game cut short thanks to fireworks display that was in support of Temple from a football game.
Pushed Temple and Maine off the field at Kent State. But the fireworks also set off a level of controversy not often seen in collegiate field hockey.
Finding out that it was for fireworks for a football game, just initially very disappointed, very confused.
For the players, the decision to push the women off the field in favor of a football-related event touched on a greater issue, one of gender equality.
It's almost like awful that I'm not surprised. We're a women's team, and I think it was just like, yeah, like it's one of these moments again.
Temple student athletes deserve better is one of many headlines surrounding Temple field hockey's team following their matchup against Maine. Now, some of these headlines have even reached national level, and some are calling this a Title IX situation.
Title IX states that no person should be excluded from any activity on the basis of sex.
This is an opportunity to make change in this world and for us to progress.
We feel that this was our opportunity to kind of get this story out there, and hopefully something positive comes from it where it never happens again.
But moving forward, the team will use this as a bonding experience to each other and their new head coach.
I think this is an opportunity for us to grow even closer.
We like to have fun, regardless of what happened on Saturday, and sometimes the ignorance of someone else doesn't mean that we can't move on with what we need to do and what we need to take care of.
While Temple field hockey is ready to move on, the National Field Hockey Coaches Association is ready to use this incident as a way to improve the development of its sports and women's athletics in general. The association released a statement on Monday asking those in administration and leadership positions at Kent State to do some soul searching and to take some responsibility for their lack of judgment and poor decision making. That was displayed when the game was called early. And it appears as though Kent State has gotten the message and is in fact taking some responsibility. The university is now apologizing for stopping the game early, saying in hindsight a different decision should have been made. As for the actual game, since it never finished, the NCAA is classifying it as a scrimmage, with the result of the game being wiped off the board. The Owls are back in action on the field Friday at home versus Bryant.
Now for the real test. Forget Bucknell. Temple takes on its first-ranked opponent of 2019 this coming Saturday when number 21 Maryland comes to town.
The Terps have been a force to be reckoned with, defeating their first two opponents by a combined 122 points. For more on this explosive offense, here's Inside the Nest reporter Ray Dunn at the Plasma. Hey, Ray.
Thank you, Adam. Maryland has been incredible so far, crushing both opponents in the first 2 weeks of the season. For the first time in 2019, the Terps take to the road for this Saturday's matchup with the Owls. Last season, Temple upset Maryland 35-14 in College Park, but a lot has changed. That includes the coaching staffs on both sides, as Maryland's new head coach Mike Loxley has this team looking nothing like the Maryland team that finished below 500 last year.
Dude, obviously they're a good opponent. They're executing at a high level, offense, defensively, and special teams.
Their offense is a lot different from last year. They go very fast tempo. They got really good players, really fast guys on their offense. But, most part we're focused on ourselves and what we can do.
It's about playing square defense. It's about getting after them, getting the ball down. It all starts and stops with the run. They're running the ball super effectively. We got to stop the run.
Focus on what we can do as our job, doing our fits, being in our gaps, doing our job, and we should be okay, man. We're not too much worried about that.
Maryland made Syracuse look bad on Saturday, out to an early 21-7 lead. Anthony McFarland gets the carry and easily finds his way to the end zone. More from the sophomore back in a second, but here's the standout quarterback Josh Jackson finding sophomore wideout Carlos Carrier for the wide open score. Now Jackson gets it in the red zone again right here, and he finds McFarland for the back's third touchdown of the day. Maryland cruised in this one. The final score was 63-20. Syracuse losing this one, losing their rank status as Maryland now 21st in the rankings. By the numbers, Maryland is first in Division I in scoring at 71 points per game. On top of that, they have been incredibly efficient, moving the ball at nearly 8 yards of play. They're averaging 10 touchdowns a game. You heard that right, 10 touchdowns per game. All that while converting at elite rates on third down and in the red zone. Their third down conversion rate actually ranks 8th in all of Division I college football. Offensively, the Terps have a plethora of options, but sophomore running back Anthony McFarland is the most explosive. The reigning second-team All-Big Ten back rushed for 109 yards on 11 attempts last season against the Owls. On the other side of the ball, Ohio State transfer Keandre Jones has been a force so far defensively with 3.5 sacks in 2 games. He will need to bolster a Maryland pass rush that ranked near the bottom of Division I football a season ago. The Owls haven't started a season 2-0 since 2015, and they are looking to knock off a ranked team in back-to-back years for the first time since the 2015-16 seasons. Reporting from the Plasma, I'm Ray Dunn. Adam and JJ, back to you.
Thanks, Ray. Game time is for Saturday at 12 at the Link. You can watch the game on CBS Sports Network, but don't forget to follow us on Twitter to get live tweets throughout the game at OwlSports Update.
It's time to take our first time out, but stick with us. We've only just begun, and soon we'll hit the pitch.
Soccer highlights from both the men's and women's teams. Both were in action versus Nova this past week. If you give us 90 seconds, I promise OwlSports Update will be right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. The men's soccer team was back in action on Saturday as they traveled to Villanova for their second consecutive road match. Entering the game, the Owls were 0-2, still searching for their first goal of the year. The Cherry Crusade was out in support on Saturday at Villanova. Let's jump right into it. 35th minute of play, and Jalen Campbell gets the breakaway for the Owls. He rips a shot that is just barely blocked away by Carson Williams. Temple eventually fell in the game 1-0 to Villanova. Goal was scored for Villanova by Sidhu Shamsuddin. Temple eventually falls 1-0.
One thing that we know in sports, if you don't score, you can't win. If in 3 games this season, the men's soccer team hasn't scored a goal and has been outscored in goals 5-0, which has the Owls looking for their first goal of the season and their first win.
For more on the Owls' struggles, we welcome in OwlSports Update's Andrea Melisa. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Well, it's safe to say that the men's soccer team is feeling the frustration. They fell to Rutgers, to Georgetown, and just last Saturday, the Villanova Wildcats. With an 0-3 record and no goals to speak of, Temple is running out of time to gain some momentum in their non-conference schedule.
3 games into the season, and the men's soccer team is still looking for a reason to celebrate. That's 3 games and not 1 goal so far this year.
Indiana, Ohio State. You look at 2 of the 3 games, I thought we were very dominant in stages of the game, but we're just not finishing our chances.
And the Nova loss was just one example. Temple led the game in shots, 16 to Nova's 11, but the only score that really mattered was the 1-0 loss that dropped the Owls to 0-3 on the year.
We had plenty of chances in this game to get up early and reward ourselves for the way we've been playing, but games are made by goals, and we're just not finding ways to score right now. 16 shots, a bunch of corners. We're knocking on the door, but college games are tough, and not scoring is going to make them even harder.
You've heard it from Coach Rowland. The team does seem to agree. The Owls have had a tough run so far with a difficult non-conference lineup, but they do say that they feel confident heading into the next few weeks. Senior Lucas Fernandez says that luck is what's been missing so far this season.
Ball hasn't rolled our way, hasn't bounced our way, but I think the more opportunities we create, the more chances we take, just the more successful we'll be in the future.
But it won't get much easier from here. The Owls wrap up their non-conference schedule against Lafayette, Delaware, and Penn, who combined have a record of 6 wins, just 1 loss, and 2 ties.
Now their next game is Friday night against the undefeated Lafayette Leopards, followed by the University of Delaware on Tuesday. The Owls have home field advantage for both games, where they hope to secure not only their first goal of the season, but their first win as well. Reporting from desk, I'm Andrea Melisa, OwlSports Update.
Thanks so much, Andrea. Game time is on Friday against Lafayette. Is at 7:30 at the Temple Sports Complex.
Thanks, Andrea. After starting out the season with 3 straight games on the road, the women's soccer team got set for back-to-back home games, including their home opener against Lehigh on Thursday. The Owls came in with a 1-2 record to start their season. It's an AAC versus Patriot League non-conference matchup, and if you like defense, you'll love this one. Early on, it's the Owls on the attack, and Gabby Johnson has her shot blocked away by the defense. On to the second half, and now Temple still can't find an answer. This time, it's Lehigh's goaltender Miranda Royds with the impressive save on the shot from Emma Wilkins. Lehigh tries to respond, but Morgan Basilia wants you to know that Royds isn't the only one that's making stops. She had 9 saves on the game. Temple nearly scores on the break of the scoreless tie, but it's to no avail. This game went on to be a double overtime tie, scoreless tie, final 0-0. On to Sunday afternoon's game against Nova. Early on, it's Morgan Basilia making one of her 7 saves on the day for Temple. There was no score at the half. Second half was a different story. A sophomore transfer from Tennessee, Bryce McKinroy, puts Nova on the board. Right back come the Wildcats, and here comes McKinroy again for another goal. That's number 2 on the day for her. Nova strikes one more before the final whistle, goes on to win this game 3-0.
A ton of games coming at you over the next few days. It starts Thursday night when the women's soccer team takes on Maryland on the road at 7. Friday is an action-packed night at the Temple Sports Complex with field hockey battling Bryan at 7 p.m. Right next door, the men's soccer team returns home to take on Lafayette at 7:30. Volleyball gets started with the Cherry and White Challenge on Friday, while men's golf heads up to Cornell for its first tournament of the season. And back to soccer where their women's team rounds out the weekend with Ryder on Sunday. And who could forget about the football team taking on number 21 Maryland Saturday at 12 down at the Link.
That's right, JJ. And it's time for our second break, but don't go anywhere. We're set to talk about the winningest team on campus.
Yes, they spike, they kill. Maybe that's why the volleyball team keeps rolling as they're looking at one of the best starts in program history. We have results from last weekend and a preview of the Cherry and White Challenge. Start the clock. We're back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. The recent offensive output for the women's soccer forward has earned her recognition by the American Athletic Conference. OwlSports Update's Courtney Murphy has the story. We're having technical difficulties with that one, but we want to take you in on a full screen looking at
This past weekend, Temple Volleyball was in action for 3 matches hosted at American University in Washington, D.C., Adam. Temple dominated all of its matches. The closest one of the weekend was the first against Ohio. The Owls won the first set and dropped the next 2. They won the fourth, winning 7 of the last 10 points to force a 5th set. After beating Ohio 3-2, the Owls didn't lose another set the entire weekend as they went on and swept Winthrop and American. They now have a 6-0 record as they return to North Broad this weekend. And that tournament this weekend is called the Cherry and White Challenge. Temple will host Lehigh, Radford, Columbia starting on Friday. With a successful run at home, the Owls might just set the program record for the best start in team's history. Here's OwlSports Update's Trey Petrarca.
Perfection, at least so far this season. Starting Friday in the Cherry and White Challenge, the 6-0 Owls actually have a chance to beat all of last year's win total, and it's still mid-September.
We want to get better as a team, as a program, and we want to really enjoy being together and performing at a high level. We want to compete for a championship. We want to do everything in our power to put ourselves in that position.
And they are winning championships. The Owls have played in 2 tournaments so far this year, winning both, and that's where the 6 wins comes from, which is just 2 shy of last year's win total of 8. This weekend's Cherry and White Challenge will likely be the team's toughest so far.
Radford, we're starting out with them on Friday. They've been to the NCAA tournaments multiple times. Columbia, I see them being much better than in the previous season. And Lehigh has always been in the top of the conference as well. It's going to be a good standard of competition this weekend.
Even with the stiff competition, setter and team captain Tyler Lindgren believes that the Owls can keep the winning streak alive, especially at home this weekend for what turns out to be the team's home opener.
We can definitely win the tournament. We just have to put in the work, and I think we need to treat every team the same, go in every game with the same mentality, but I think we can come out with a win this weekend.
A win on Friday would be the best start since 1983. An undefeated weekend means the best start in program history. Reporting from Pearson McGonigal Hall, I'm Trey Petrarca for OwlSports Update.
And that first match against Radford is inside McGonigal Hall Friday at 6:30 p.m. We have hit our final break, but don't go anywhere. We still have a lot to get to in our last segment.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at a redshirt freshman who is making an immediate impact on the field hockey team. OwlSports Update, we'll be right back. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. It's time to recognize the Owls of the Week, JJ. My Owl of the Week is Kristen Barnett. The senior forward has had a lot of attention this week with the media, and she's done a great job representing Temple and the field hockey team. Not to mention, she's from Brecksville, Ohio, which is actually just 40 minutes away from Kent State. So the game-turned scrimmage certainly hits close to home for her, and she's done a great job being a leader and keeping her eyes moving forward, even with the media attention.
A respectable choice, Adam, and I agree with you. The field hockey team has handled the attention well, and that also comes from the top and head coach, Susan Chufo. I don't think all of this was on the job posting when she applied in her first year as the field hockey coach. she's led the team to more home victories than they had all of last season. She stepped up to the plate and voiced her opinion on the fireworks debacle, making sure people knew how she and her team felt it was handled. If you check out any article, Chufo's quotes are clear and to the point. Patrick Kraft stated he was proud of the way Chufo, her staff, and players handled the situation professionally. Not a bad first-year head coach on North Broad. Despite all of the attention the field hockey team has gotten, following Saturday's game at Kent State, there are still 3 games to play, and Carrie Lorenz has certainly been positive face to the new team.
Joining us on the plasma is OwlSports Update's Dion Stewart to give us the details on the redshirt freshman. Hey, Dion.
Thanks, guys. In the light of the Kent State fireworks fiasco, the field hockey players have been individually shining for their team this season, particularly the Owls midfielder, Carrie Lorenz. Redshirt freshman Carrie Lorenz did more than just compete for the Owls to start this field hockey season. 2 goals in the first 2 games, resulting in 2 wins. This comes as no surprise for someone who's been playing the game right around the time she walked into her kindergarten class.
Ever since I was like 6 years old, I grew up with my sister playing field hockey, and she's a little bit older than I am, so I just went to all of her games and stuff, and I just picked up a stick whenever she did.
Lorenz led her team to a strong 2-0 start in the first week of the season, earning herself Big East Offensive Player of the Week. It's the first time an Owl has received this honor since 2014.
I feel as if I worked really hard throughout the summer, and I think it's paying off.
Aside from Carrie's fresh skill set, new field hockey coach Suzanne Chufo has a fresh perspective on the team's growth and success.
Well, we've only been here for about 3 weeks, so we've made some tremendous growth in those 3 weeks, and we've had a lot of buy-in from our upperclassmen, which really kind of creates the success that we're looking for.
The Owls sit at 2-1, not bad considering they won 2 games all of last year. A big reason for this turnaround is the support the girls share on and off the field. Right now, much of that runs through Carrie's early season goal scoring.
Her skill set is really unique, and she creates a lot in the circle. So, I mean, as a midfielder, the fact that she scored in 2 games is just making it evident that she's a force to be reckoned with on the field.
You can catch the Owls on their home turf Friday versus the Bryant Bulldogs. It will be interesting to see the response this team gets in its first game since returning from Ohio.
Excellent work, Dion. Thanks for joining us. As we wrap things up, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms using the @OwlSportsUpdate handle. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and we'll have plenty of coverage from events all weekend long, including the football game, field hockey's Friday night matchup, and the weekend volleyball tournament.
And that's all the time we have, but be sure to tune in next Tuesday for a brand new episode of Inside the Nest. That'll be with Brooklyn Vaughn and Dan Wilson as they recap the Maryland game.
Plus, OwlSports Update will be back again next Thursday with Sean McGeehan and Brian Steinmetz return to the desk.
He's JJ Mahowski. I'm Adam Cronali.
Have a great day, everyone.